Welcome. I'm confident we'll revive our economy. That's the assurance from President Akufo-Addo, who today rehashed the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the country's economy. Ghana is experiencing one of the worst economic downturns, a situation which has forced the government to seek help from the International Monetary Fund. Already, the president's political party, the New Patriotic Party, on the occasion of the Founders' Day today, is appealing to Ghanaians to support government in reviving the economy. So let's bring you excerpts of that statement released by the New Patriotic Party on that occasion. It starts off by talking about the fact that as the country marks another Founders' Day anniversary, the New Patriotic Party would like to first celebrate members of the Aboriginals' Rights Protection Society and the United Gold Coast Convention, which is the UGCC, apparently. And it's quite clear that it is one of the initial political establishments leading to our independence. Then they continue to say that the pioneering activism against colonial rule laid the foundation for the country's long journey to independence. Now, the selfless advocacy of J.E. Kesley Hayford, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, Power Grant, Emmanuel Bejebi Lamte, Edward Akufo-Addo, William Oforiatta, Akua J. Kwame Nkrumah, and several others culminated in the attainment of independence on March 6, 1957. Now, August 4 is indeed the most historic day in our struggle for nationhood. This day did not only witness the birth of the famous Aboriginals' Rights Protection Society, an important milestone in our march for nationhood and self-determination, but was also the day that the UGCC, the first political movement in the country, was founded. This political movement set the stage for the struggle for independence, as we're seeing from the New Patriotic Party. The NPP therefore takes this opportunity to appeal to Ghanaians to inculcate the spirit of patriotism and to support the efforts of government in reviving the country's economy following the devastating effects and impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war on the global economy. Now, the party also entreats all Ghanaians to emulate that spirit of selfless patriotism of members of the Big Sis who suffered imprisonment, persecution, and harassment in their quest for a free and independent country. And it goes on to say that if we can boldly call ourselves Ghanaians, if we can vote and choose for ourselves leaders that we want, then we should know that others sacrificed for the freedom we enjoy today. The onus, therefore, lies on us to make that sacrifice in making our country a better place for our future generations and for ourselves. So, excerpts of the statement there by the governing New Patriotic Party. The president himself has been speaking at an official ceremony today to mark the Founders' Day. He is assuring that the NPP government will revive the economy.
One thing I continue to be proud of is the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian and our determination not to be bogged down by events and allow the circumstances and challenges of today to shape our collective future. The most recent of these challenges has been the COVID-19 pandemic, which has compromised the economic gains chalked in recent years. As a result of the pandemic and its impact on the economy, things are not what we would like as far as the economy is concerned. They've been worsened even further by the effects of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Government has, however, outlined a series of measures, including seeking the assistance of the International Monetary Fund in the short term to help repair our finances. I am confident that we will revive and revitalize the economy and put our nation back on the path of rapid economic growth, a scenario we had become accustomed to in the last 3 immediate years before the pandemic struck. This is a solemn pledge I'm making to you. I remain resolutely optimistic about Ghana's future, which I continue to believe is bright.
Akufo-Addo there. Let me bring in Daniel Ochema-Boache, former government spokesperson on finance, also a member of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Happy Founders' Day to you as well. Your party has released that statement appealing to Ghanaians to support the government in reviving the economy. Many say it's beyond repairs. What's your take on that?
Well, let me say good afternoon to you and to your listeners and viewers, and of course to all Ghanaians and the president and his team. Obviously, that statement from the president or even from the IPP General Secretary is a profound one. Ghanaians actually give us their mandate. In fact, they've given it to us the second time, if you look at what we have now. And for that matter, if we're having challenges, which we do admit, we do have challenges, I think it is a step in the right direction to go back and say that, please work with us, support the government, help us. As our founders did so many years ago, that today we are celebrating Founders Day. So I think the call is a step in the right direction. After election, I keep saying, after election governance, we need to support the government from everywhere we can, do our best everywhere we find ourselves, and make sure that we are able to turn around the situation we have ourselves in right now, which we all do know that it's not caused by any government initiative per se. It is a global pandemic. It is the COVID, the Russia-Ukraine war, and maybe a few internal local issues, if you will, that have actually made us go through this difficult time.
Indeed, but many argue that you've had the finest opportunity, even more than any successive government has had. The government which has availed, or has access to the, biggest funding ever in terms of reserves or whatever it is that you were, left with as a government. And yet, what we have seen is that you've depleted all of the funds that the country has. I'm sure that you've heard all of these issues come up. And this time around...
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but the line was breaking.
No, I was just talking about the fact that you had the most funds as a government. Can you hear me now? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. I was talking about the fact that, your government has had access to, by far the largest funding in terms of government resources. So how come that you're still giving excuses as of now?
I don't think we are giving excuses. We are just telling you the situation as they are. And there's no doubt that this government has been given a lot. So did we also inherit a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. Look at what happened to the banking systems. A big problem. Look at Dumso. It's a big problem. High unemployment, youth unemployment, big problem. So the problems were huge. Even look at our roads. Even look at what we just discovered with COVID. So many districts do not have hospitals. So the problems we inherited are huge. Power crisis, financial crisis, energy crisis, unemployment, and many, many other issues compounded by these external factors, COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. These are not normal times. And so you have to understand that, yes, we came in, yes, we got some resources, yes, we borrowed money, but we have used money to also get us to where we are today. It's just that it's unfortunate that we had to deal with these external factors that is affecting our economy. And that's the president said, yes, we are going to the IMF for short-term support, but ultimately we have to fix the economy. The structure of the economy is not what we want. Ghana is a small, open economy that is that is vulnerable to what happens to the world. While we eat, while we sleep, while we drive, everything is basically almost connected to the world. Even the exports that we have, things that give us money. You produce cocoa in a raw state, take it outside there. People can determine how much they give you. You produce the crude oil, what happens? You produce timber. All those things have to be sent outside to be processed. Why? After 100 years of cocoa farming, after 100 years of gold.
Yeah, but you promised us, your political party, this was the same political party that promised us that you are going to turn around the economy from taxation to production. It was part of your manifesto, wasn't it? So if you're still talking about these same problems, you haven't achieved anything, have you?
That's not the case. unless you don't want to look at the numbers. Look at what happened prior to 2017. What were the numbers? What was the GDP growth rate? It was 3.4%. What was inflation? What was the borrowing rate in the bank? Even under NDC, they were borrowing at the rate of 32% from some commercial banks. These macroeconomic indicators had begun to turn around, right? They were going the right direction until COVID hit. So it's not that we have not done anything. We've done a lot of things. Even as we speak today, in the middle of this crisis, I can tell you, there is no single government in the history of Ghana that has undertaken so many road projects than President Akufo-Addo. So we have a lot to show, both infrastructure, both developmental issues, and growing the economy. But for COVID and Russia-Ukraine war, MPP was doing so well.
Okay,
so
I'll take your thoughts on the external factors shortly, but your party is also appealing to Ghanaians to support government in reviving the economy. What type of help are you on the lookout from Ghanaians? What are you expecting of us? That we give you more money?
I think Ghanaians have to be patient. They have to support the government by supporting government initiatives. We need money to be able to do a number of things that we have to do. When we go to parliament, we are asking the opposition to support government initiatives. If we have to borrow, support it. Let's go borrow. If you have to ask questions, no problems. It's okay. You can ask all the questions you want. But don't just go to parliament and be fighting. Then just go to parliament because you want to come to power, start propagating things that are not true. After election governance, let's put Ghana first.
So that's the type of support you're asking Ghanaians to give you?
So we are asking Ghanaians to support government policies. For instance, the government is asking for e-levy. We should all try and find ways to see how we can support. Even if you have to go back to the government and say, please, maybe the rate is higher, let's adjust it or something like that. Let's make sure that we are open and willing to pay e-levy. The government is asking for members of parliament who represent us to support government initiatives, right? Whatever the government brings to parliament for approval, it is before Ghanaians. We expect members of parliament, if it makes sense, to support those things so that together we go. But if you go to parliament, for instance, and start fighting each other, we are scaring the investors who will be taking their money away.
But I guess you're leaving one side of the argument, the focus on leadership. It's much more critical than any other thing, isn't it? What have we seen? We've seen your government turning us right back to the IMF. The same IMF you promised you were not taking us to. So why then should Ghanaians take you seriously when you say, support us, we'll deliver?
You know, when the Minister of Finance made the statement that we are not going to the IMF, unfortunately, many of you in the media have always played half of that tape. If you play the full tape, you realize that he also said, as long as we are willing to support the government. That, you never say those things. It was conditional on the fact that if we are willing to take up the responsibility to support ourselves, we may not have to go to IMF. By the way, we are going to IMF. We are not ashamed of going to IMF because these are under different circumstances compared to the previous one. If you want to do that politics, under the previous one, we had to go to IMF because of mismanagement, total mismanagement of the economy. In this case, you are aware, unless probably you don't live in the world, and I know you do, that the whole world, the entire universe, is hit by a global pandemic, which is COVID-19. We are not out of it yet. Just before we are gradually getting out of COVID, Russia and Ukraine were hit. And all kinds of things are happening. Fuel prices are going up, inflation is going up, and countries, many countries, even strong economies like the US, the UK, we are all suffering. So we can't just say that because we say we are not going to IMF, when we are going through troubles, we won't go. We are going for balance of payment support. It's a short-term measure. When the opportunity comes and we are able to take care of issues, trust me, we can get this country back on a positive.
Yeah, I tell you what, the president's own word, the president's own word at the time he was opposition leader comes up again. You were elected to fix the problem. He's been consistent with that, statement for quite some time now. He's now president, so it goes without saying that he was elected to fix the problem. So why is he not fixing the problem?
The president said some time ago that I was elected to fix the problems. He's not running away from the problems. No, he's not. I'm not sure if you can hear me. We are not, as a government, running away from. We are not running away from the problems. Not at all.
Yeah, but you keep putting that. You keep placing the blame on COVID-19, the Russian-Ukrainian war. In fact, very recently, we've heard from the Russian embassy on some of the items that we import into our country. That balance has not been clear. So a lot is happening to our economy, which transcends the issue of the external vulnerabilities. You've been watching the figures as well, and I hope you concede that the facts speaks for itself, that it's not just about the COVID, it's not just about the Russian-Ukrainian war.
You are probably underestimating the nature of the Ghanaian problem, which is going to take more than even a decade to fix. There are fundamental problems with our economy. Fundamental in terms of the structure. And that is going to take some time. So if you want to look at it in any time horizon, you just have to look at the immediate term, probably the short term, if you wish, and then the medium, and then the long. Okay? So it's not going to just take us a year or two to fix this problem. We were trying to get ourselves out of it. Majority of the policies that we're pursuing were meant at tackling the fundamental structural problems, which has to do with making sure that we turn this economy around from just being raw material, or let's say basically exporting of raw material, to basically producing things and basically industrializing here in Ghana. And that's going to take some time.
Yeah,
it's not just going to happen in a day or two. It's going to take some time.
And the time you're talking about,
it begins. A journey of transformation begins with a step.
Yeah, but by the time you are talking about, in fact, from the last check from what it is that the finance minister has told us, he says he would need at least more than 2 years to deal with the problems facing this economy. 2.5 to be more precise. I mean, looking at that situation, the belief is Ghanaians may run out of patience and vote you out even before that 2.5 years expire. Daniel, well, it appears we're having some challenges with the connection to Daniel Ochemabwachi, but the point well made there. Meanwhile, the president himself has been speaking about some more issues. In fact, he has disclosed that some special honors will be awarded to a number of identified groups that stood for the country in trying times. The national honors, as the president indicated, will also feature health officials who served as frontline workers in the wake of a surge in COVID-19 infections. We can listen to the president.
In helping to build the prosperous and progressive Ghana we seek, it is important that we recognize and honor the work and sacrifices made by some Ghanaians for the development of our nation. The 16th President of the United States of America, arguably America's greatest president, Abraham Lincoln, in an oft-cited quote, stated, and I quote, "A nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure," unquote. I want to use this occasion to announce that I have honored certain citizens who have distinguished themselves in service to Mother Ghana, in particular for the roles they played in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, which helped preserve our population and won for our nation global praise. The formal ceremony when I confer the awards will take place at a later date.
There. Well, joining me on this conversation as well is David Tinkran Chum, General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. In fact, they are asking the president to also do more in terms of honoring their group. We'll talk about that shortly, David. But let me wrap up with you, Daniel Ochemabwachi. Your final words to Ghanaians as you're asking for support to turn things around.
Well, like I said, we need time, we need Ghanaian support, we need support of members of parliament, and even the media, that Ghanaians should be patient with us, give us opportunity to just basically go back. And basically the policies are there already. I mean, the MPP has the policies. The media review budget has laid it all out, what we need to do to be able to go ahead and turn around the economy. We need time, we need support, we need Ghanaians to be patient. And once we have these things, trust me, we'll be able to turn the economy around again.
I'm grateful for your time here on The Pulse, David.